So this question comes in real hot and says the PCAOB is charged with all the following responsibilities except. All right, so what is the PCAOB responsible for? Well, they are responsible for the audit of public companies, and they oversee the audit of public companies. So they have some real basic responsibilities. They are responsible for registering accounting or audit firms that would perform the audit of public companies. They are responsible for establishing the auditing standards of public companies, the PCAOB standards. They would be responsible for inspecting registered audit firms, right, to make sure that the firms are doing, a proper auditing job. They'll go in and say, okay, how did you perform the audit? Do we agree with the conclusion? And then they're also responsible for conducting investigations in disciplinary proceedings. So those are the main responsibilities of the PCAOB. Now you'll see a lot of questions in audit that say except, which means we need to identify the option that is incorrect, and that actually becomes the correct answer. So in this case, there's going to be three options that do describe the responsibilities of the PCAOB, and the one that's not, that'll be our correct answer. Well, if we waste any time here, then we'll never get done. So let's get started. So determining how a company will present the impact of fluctuations in foreign currency in its financial statements. That sounds oddly specific, right? And really, that is not the responsibility of the PCAOB. That is coming from US GAAP. The FASB, they issue US GAAP, and that will talk about how a company should present the impact of fluctuations in foreign currencies in its financial statements, right? So right off the bat, we already know that is not the responsibility of the PCAOB, so that's going to be the correct answer. Now that assumes that the other three options are the responsibility of the PCAOB, right? Well, let's confirm, because that's what we should do for these types of questions. We don't want to just pick one out and say, okay, that's it. We need to also validate the other ones. So registering accounting firms that will audit public companies, yep, you can check that. That is the responsibility of the PCAOB. How about establishing auditing standards? Yep, check that box, right? That is the responsibility of the PCAOB. And then inspecting accounting firms that will audit public companies? Yes, there are rules, and we'll get to them later, that talked about how often a audit firm is inspected for their public company audit. So all three of those are incorrect because those are responsibilities of the PCAOB. And in general, those all make sense. They relate more to the auditing of a public company, which is what the PCAOB was established for, right? So we had our correct answer, but really important, the key takeaway here is why the other options are incorrect, because that is the real focus of this question and not so much the correct answer, right? So keep that in mind, but that is how we should go through these types of questions where we really, really, really need to read through all of the options.